Happy Friday, everyone, and warm welcome back to another Friday roast. My name is Edward. I'm going to be your host, and I have basically worked more than 15 years analyzing websites to a degree that it's almost disgusting. So, what I always tend to do in these webinars is to make sure that we give as much just value and feedback as possible, and that's why I assume most people are here. So the way that we typically tend to do this is I see very often that so many websites could be drastically better. A lot of people just don't know what they need to do because whenever you're doing something for the first time or you're a small business and you don't have all the resources, it can be super hard to know how do you tell your story in the best possible way. How do you use the most modern and best design tricks and techniques? How do you actually guide people into taking action when they're on your website, so on and so forth. So what I do during these roasts is I'm actually not that bad. I'm think at least what I've heard is I'm kind of nice in these roasts, but anyone who's watching this, if you in the comment section put in your website, I am going to give you some live feedback on your website and how it can be improved. So please be very interactive and engage. What we're going to do for today is we're going to roast three different websites. The first website that we're going to roast is actually from someone who joined one of our webinars last year. Um, and he is a guy who actually has worked as a web developer himself, runs a marketing agency, and also run a tutoring business. His name is Gerard Smith, and I'm going to loop him in here. And you're going to now get to see how I give him feedback, constructive feedback on how he can improve his website straight in front of your eyes. So I'm going to let Gerard in here now. Hello, Gerard. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you just fine. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Love what you guys do at Webtec.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it, man. I'm super excited because like I got so much nice feedback from you from some of the previous webinars that we hosted, and that's why I'm excited to bring you on board because I know that you're in this space yourself, which means that a lot of the feedback you can probably take on board and like implement quite easily, right? Um, and
That's
you're now
correct.
running.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome. So you're now running a business called Commonwealth Tutoring in Virginia, correct?
that's correct. Yep.
Awesome. So always what I do here, my process of providing feedback and recommendations, meaning roasting, is very much based on what you're going to tell me, which is why it's really useful for people to see me roasting you to your face. Um, Obviously, it's kind of fun and casual, but just in general, I always start off with figuring out who are we meant to attract and appeal to the website. It's the very first thing that we need to define because I always tend to stay away from, building a website that I like, because that's, again, I'm normally not the one who's going to be using that website. So, Jared, would you mind just first of all telling me a little bit, like in 10, 15 seconds, can you give an introduction to the business?
Sure. So, Commonwealth Tutoring, we support Virginia families only. We started as a response to the education losses of COVID-19, decided to build a business that targets private families, parents that are doing homeschooling, and parents that just truly value education.
Got it. Okay. And the visitors that you expect to have on the website, could you give like a little bit of an introduction to that? Like who are they typically, age, gender, like just so we know who we're targeting.
Sure. So, we're going to be looking for um, women typically are the ones who are looking into this kind of thing. That's one surprising metric that we found. Moms typically are searching for this sort of information more than fathers are. Not to say the fathers aren't involved in the child's education, but moms usually doing this kind of searching. And we typically find that our clients land in the range of, gee, I don't know, maybe between 30 and 50 is I would say a wide range, but it's the data that we have to go off of.
Yeah. All right. Got it. So when they come to your website, they're typically a first-time visitor, right? They don't really know that much about you.
They're typically a first time visitor when they come to the website. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Um, do you have do you have like anything regarding like this is a really important feature that we need to have? This is something that people always tends to ask us. Like anything else would be good for me to know about the experience that you want to give a visitor?
So as far as the experience, we really wanted to capture the essence of what we do without over explaining. So it's really important to us that our process stands out as simple and inviting, and not burdensome.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Um, Great. Very last question then is where do people typically come from? Is it from word of mouth and referrals? Is it from Google? Is it from social media? Or like where do people typically become aware of you in the first place?
They're going to be coming primarily from social media and word of mouth reference.
Word of mouth. Okay. Awesome. Are you active? Like do you post a lot?
So we had a lot going on at the start of the year because there was a big grant that got put out, and we were hoping to help families because there were just a lot of pop-up organizations that took advantage of that. I'll
Yeah.
stop there. And so we kind of are starting afresh because the new wave of clientele, they're all private pay customers
Uh,
instead of using the grant funding. And so we're kind of learning what we need to adapt in our approach now that the market's changed here in Virginia.
yeah, I see. It's kind of interesting though, because like education for me is like super important, but I just feel like a lot of the way people provide education is very old and outdated, like irrelevant. Um, but okay, so let's dig in here. I think I have a fairly clear idea, but it sounds like people are coming to the website as a first time visitor through word of mouth or referrals. They're most often going to be young people or younger audience at the very least, somewhere around 20 to 30, 35, there rounds, I would guess. And they're here to figure out if they
I would
want
say
to.
35 and up as a correction to the age part.
Okay, 35 and up. That's good. That's good to know. Um, Great. And yeah, so and the last thing then is we want to get them to book a consultation with you. If the website can do that, then we're really happy with what it's doing, as far as I understand. Um, so whenever I analyze the website, I look at three different things. It needs to drive really good traffic because again, a good website without any traffic doesn't it's not going to do anything. It needs to have a really good story that you're telling. And lastly, it needs to have really good site performance, meaning like speed, navigation, so on and so forth. But very, very typically, if you have traffic, you tell a good story, and there's no kind of interruptions in the user experience, then it's very likely that your website is going to generate a lot of leads and bookings in this case. So I've already done a little bit of homework on the site now. The very first thing that I look into is the traffic. And again, there's many, many different ways that we can look at that. We can look at how do you post on social media. We can look at, you know, referrals. It's super hard to track. But the first thing that I tend to look at is like how well is your website performing with Google? Because if someone is actively looking for tutoring, then that's typically where they tend to go. It's not like and of course, unless they have already a recommendation from someone. So here I saw that the SEO on your website is not insignificant, but it's not great. You have a domain rating here. Domain rating basically means the trust score you have with Google. And this is not the end all be all for how well you're going to rank on Google and how much traffic you're going to get, but it's just a good, strong indication that you can look at. And I always tend to say this here should if you really want to rank high on Google, this should be at least 40, 50 or more, is what I typically tend to say. So that's the first thing.
Hmm.
Um, Storytelling wise, I always tend to follow this little framework because I have this thing where when it comes to storytelling, that is really a magical hard part to nail down right. And there's many different ingredients that
Mm,
goes into that. But overall, when someone comes to your website, they're typically there for a good reason. It's not because they want to waste time. And if we then can remove their doubts and hesitations to why they would not engage with you, then it's very likely that they will do so. So I always tend to use this framework here, which I think is very solid. These are the 6 concerns that you want to remove when someone goes to your website. The first thing is regarding the design. Want to make sure that the website looks really nice and modern and instantly give you a really good impression. Then, in the first 10 seconds, people make their first decision, which is do they want to stay and learn more? So, in those first 10 seconds, the design is really important. And secondly, they should instantly understand what you do can make a big difference for them, or like very attractive kind of outcome they could get. So if we're able to do that, then it's very likely they're going to stay and want to learn a little bit more. So then we jump into number 3, 4, 5, and 6. So what specifically do you offer? I always tend to say here that the one recommendations that I see so many people don't do well in their storytelling is they don't talk about the problems and frustrations that they help alleviate, which means that their messaging only resonates with people who are already ready to buy, and that normally isn't a very large portion of your visitors. So
mm,
that's another thing that I always recommend adding to the structure of the site. Build trust and credibility is very obvious. We need to highlight, the tutoring. You're in a very competitive space, so why should they choose you rather than someone else? And the very last thing that might put people to ease and take that leap and engage with you is like, what is this going to look like? Because rarely we take action before we know uh, what we're about to get ourselves into. So if we build a website that answers these questions here, without having too much text and information, then I think you're going to be quite a quite a long way ahead of the curve. Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm really appreciating the insights.
Beautiful. I'm glad. Let's now get into the roast and have some fun. So I'm going to now give you a little bit of feedback. Here is where I see, having done this now for more than 30,000 websites. Here's what I notice we can fix with your website to make sure that more people convert. I'm going to give you this feedback a lot in the ways where I think it's not optimal right now. So don't take this personally, but just like know that I'm just trying to give you the best the best advice here. I know you're cool guys. You're not going to be offended anyways. Um, so the way we do this now is we are going to pretend that we are the typical visitor to your website. I am 35 years old, so I'm probably in your at least age span of your audience there. But we're coming to your website because we want to figure out if you're someone that we want to engage with, right? The very first thing that we see is this here. This is what we call the hero section. And this hero section might be the most important part of your entire website, because if this is bad, no one is going to stay. So one of the things that I notice right away is your eyes are always drawn to imagery first. And here we have like an animated photo of someone sitting here working in a desk on a computer. Looks very nice and welcoming and friendly. Um, it gives like a very positive impression. Um, there is a couple of things that I notice, however. So one thing that we always talk about in web design is utilizing the screen real estate as efficiently as you can. This is super nerdy term of saying it, but it's essentially meaning that you optimize your entire whatever the visitor sees straight away as much as you can. And right now I see this here. You have the top quarter of the screen is it's taking a little bit of space and is not really adding that much value. We have the logo type, we have a client portal, we have like a little bit of contact information up here, and then a little bit of blank space. I think here we can definitely make this a lot more attention grabbing and visually appealing. Um, my recommendation always is you should have something that is a little more visually attention grabbing. What I would have is I would go on a website like pexels.com where you can download free videos that you can add as a background here. And then I would have like you can search or you can even create videos with AI these days, which is kind of cool. But where you basically showcase how someone is being tutored. Maybe even have some video content already, but video content is far more attention grabbing than just a static photo. Um, the question that I very often get here is, well, look, won't that slow down the speed of the website? And yes, it will, but there's so many effects that you can do that will drastically minimize the loading speed. So there's always that balance. You want to make sure that it's attention grabbing and not too slow, and you can have it too fast but not attention grabbing. So you need to have that right balance there. But um, a website that I always like to show is this site here. This is a tremendously fast loading website and it has such good messaging right away. So you have a video in the background, a little bit darkened. They here say what they do. They then have a subheading with who their audience is and what they should care. You then have a call to action, get a quote. They build trust and credibility right away, showcasing how they have, Google reviews here. They have some certifications. They have an award. And lastly, down here, they tell why they say their unique selling points. So, like for me, this is a really good
Wow.
way to start. Um, compare this here with this here, and I think we can clearly see the difference in how captivating it is. I'm not roasting you too bad, am I? But that's what I would start saying. Another thing that I think we can do, a
Yeah.
super simple thing that you can do, is you want to instantly build trust and credibility. Because again, bear in mind, most of your visitors are first timers. They don't really know that much about you. They don't really know if they can trust you. So that's why it's really good if you right away add, like we saw on the website just now, like a Google review, a testimonial, a certification, like something that just showcases this company here knows what they're doing. Because then far more people are going to want to stay and learn a little bit more about what you do. Does that make sense? Any questions so far?
This is making perfect sense. So far, so good. I think that one of the things we talked about at our last meeting was making this more engaging, and I had no concept of how until just now.
Yeah, that's right. And this is the thing that I think is super fascinating. I was talking to an interior designer yesterday, and he was like, so many of his clients are very naive to how hard the work of interior design actually is. And like they want to build their own bathroom, they want to decorate everything, and they're like, they don't even know how hard this is. So they start, and after they've started, that's when they realize, look, I shouldn't do this. This is just not something that I'm good at or like to do, and they mess it up. And you know, so for me, who's done this so many times, it's very easy. If I just see what you're doing and understand your audience and their context, it's super easy to give you that recommendation. Um, Another thing that we can do, if you don't want to have a video straight away, video is still something that I always recommend, especially for a service like yours, because if I'm hiring a tutor, I'm not getting a product, I'm getting a service by a person. So what's really going to matter is like, who is that person that I'm going to be working with? And I am such a huge proponent of this new trend that is interactive videos. So for example here, I'm going to bring up a site that I always give a lot of credits and kudos to, but it's this site here. Have I showed you this before, this site?
Once before, a long time ago. I
Once before,
remember.
a long time ago. This is the reason why I'm showing you this one is because this is a very similar model to yours. He works with, again, well, students, but he offers financial advice. And he knows that every single financial advisor out there, either they just have a 2, 3 minute long sales pitch where they brag about how cool they are, which is not really engaging and captivating, or they don't have a video at all, which is even worse because it's so obvious that Google likes videos or websites with videos. Visitors much more prefer a to learn through video rather than just text and photos. So it comes with so many advantages. So look at this guy. This guy has a video where I'm going to press play here. Let me know if you can't hear the audio, but I hope it's going to come through.
Hey, I'm Stanley Tate, a lawyer who's here to help you tackle your student loan debt. What can I help you with?
You could hear that? Yep. All right. He has a
Yep.
4-second video. He says his name, what he's good at, and then he asks you a question. So rather than trying to pitch all his services and everything that he can do, he wants to figure out what are you here for. And then when you select one of the options here, you're now going to get a new video where he explores that even further.
All right, so you need help with your private student loans. What kind of outcome are you hoping for?
All right. So he knows your problem, he knows your desired outcome. Then, as the expert, he can say, here's how I can help you with this transformation. So for me, just like me who's been in sales and marketing for such a long time, it's such a brilliant way to do this. And
Now, if you want to reduce your loans down to
here he now goes in and explains how he can help you. You can click and learn about the different services, or as he says at the end, if you want, you can just book a call with me and I'll help you design a plan specifically for you. So this guy has done so well. He even left a testimonial regarding this where he said that his conversion rate doubled by adding this video. And it's so freaking simple. We watched less than 30 seconds of video. If you add something that takes you 30 seconds and it doubles your conversion, you're doing something really well. So something like that, I definitely think
Agreed.
would be a good idea to have on the site as well. Either you can then place that somewhere here, or there's also a way you can put it as like a little bit of a bubble here in the bottom right corner. So there's many different ways that you can do that. Okay, so let's keep going. The most likely thing people now are going to do is going to start scrolling your website. So for sure, I think we can have a little bit more of capturing messaging here. Book a consultation is a good call to action, but I would just add something here that builds trust and credibility, and then I would add the video up here somewhere or in the background, either way. But now that we keep going, now we probably want to know a little bit more about what you do. So the first thing that I see here is here the site gets very text heavy. So now you start talking about what you actually do and offer.
Mhm.
Here is, as I mentioned with this checklist, I would not present it this way. I would rather start with a problem statement. Getting good at X can be really difficult. We make it easy. And then you showcase an example of the problems, frustrations, and challenges it is to learn whichever topic that you tutor people on. So here is one example that I often bring up. Go down here. Managing a podcast can be overwhelming. Resonate, make it easy. And here you just see the difference. Like either you can look at YouTube videos and you can do this and you can try this and you can try to learn books and you can do so on and so forth. And everyone is going to see that, yeah, that can be a very much of a hit and miss. Or if I hire Gerard, then I'm going to get this, and this. We're going to help you. We're going to guide you. We're going to make sure that you learn the most important things. We're going to basically drastically speed up your learning process. So
Mhm.
adding something like this here instead of jumping straight into what you do is much better. So the whole purpose I'm saying here is really like sell the why, not the what. first of all. Um, and I would also make sure that this here is just presented in a little bit of an easier way. Another good example here is, oh no, not this. This is not what I was going to bring up. Pod circle. Here we go. Um, this is another website that we built. They also have the interactive video here. You see here, super simple and clean. Premium podcast show notes. But look at this here. The way they present their services. You see here, video editing, audio editing, publishing. But when I hover above it, then I get more information. Which means that it's so much easier to take in the information here without being overwhelmed with a
Mm.
bunch of text. So adding effects like this is actually quite easy to do. Your website is built on WordPress, so where did you build it?
It was built on WordPress, where rebuilding it in React.
Got it. Gotcha. Okay. Um, yeah, there's even the cool thing is you can even get. I saw this reel that came up on my Instagram. I follow a lot of AI channels and stuff like that. So on there, you can basically say, I want this effect on my website, and it gives you the code. I think it's in Python, but it's like it's very easy to create these kind of effects and way of showcasing, presenting your information, the information on your website by just using ChatGPT even, which is really cool. Same down here. Like if I would judge your website right now based on just aesthetics, we have text, it's fixed, it's static. This is not very captivating at all. I do think you have a good direction with this, however. So what I would want to make sure that we do here somewhere is to make the website now a little bit more interactive. Either we can do that with a video, or we can just say here, for example, a heading that says, what are you trying to accomplish? And then you can have a couple like, I'm trying to learn this, I'm trying to learn this. It would even be smart in your case to have like a little bit of a quiz. Like, take this quiz and we'll let you know which service that is most right for you. Then it's like fun, engaging, captivating, and they are giving you information, which means they're going to be more likely to give up their like contact information and so on and so forth. That's a very good way to convert leads on the website too. A little bit further down here. So here you have the process. It's great that you have this. This is like very, very simple and clean. I'm going to see here now. Yeah, so I can click on these different bubbles and I get more information. This is really good. The only thing that I might change is I would probably do this a little bit more 1, 2, 3-esque in the process. Or like just add numbers. Step 1, consultation. Step 2, the assessment, like something like that. Because then I just see where we begin a little bit clearer. But the whole concept here is very, very good. And I think it looks really nice as well. Not too text heavy and so on and so forth. So good job there. We'll highlight the good shit too. Yeah, exactly. Last of all, now that we're going to the bottom half of the website, what's really good now, again, I always think about the psychology. What's good to bear in mind is now the visitors who look at this, they are probably very interested, because otherwise they would most likely have already dropped off by now. So now here is the section we can do a little bit more education. So I would always tend to say the lower down on a website you go, the more okay it is to have bigger chunks of text, because now they most likely are quite captivated already. So here I see now you have a couple of sections here. I like that you have these effects that when I scroll, things move. That just showcases that the website is a little bit more modern and advanced than something home built. Then we have here a call to action now. Maximize academic success through personalized tutoring. Enroll today. And then we have some FAQs. This here is also another good way, very, very good for SEO to do it this way. Because Obviously, Google's crawlers, they capture all the text without, without this looking very text heavy for the visitor. And then with some news, and then a footer. Okay. So my overall feedback here on, I'm going to measure this on a couple of different ways. Traffic wise, it doesn't look like this is a website that's going to attract a lot of traffic. Again, but I don't know your social media channels too well, so we can obviously dive into that a little bit more as well. But that's one thing. The design of the website is, in my opinion, like a 3 out of 5. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. Um, I think by adding a little bit
I'll take
more
a 3.
of, three is three is not too bad. I would add video content, and I would add a couple of very simple effects, like for example, when I hover above a box, then I get text. For example, that would be a big improvement. Storytelling wise, here is where I do think we have most work to do. So the initial messaging I think can be a lot sharper. I'm going to show you one site that I think did a. This is actually an ad. If you're a marketer, you're damaged because you're going to look at how everyone else run their ads and so on and so forth. I'm going to show an example of a ad that I clicked on. It took me to a landing page that I just thought was really, really good. It's obviously going to be a little bit different than a website. A website and a landing page is two different things, but I just want to show you the messaging that they had. So look at this here. Now, obviously, again, I've clicked an ad, but discover how my clients generate up to 4 times more qualified sales appointments of pre-sold buyers at 1/10 of the cost without a slow, outdated traditional funnel. So it is a long message, and this is specifically for a landing page. But notice how this is actually a very attractive message. You get more qualified sales appointments for a lower cost without doing the boring, outdated methods. That's something that I would consider adding to your website, but obviously customized to what you do. Get personalized tutoring, and then you add something that is something people want to avoid, that people don't like with tutoring in general. For example, here, I'm just going to make this up, adapted to your learning speed or learning level, for example. Um,
It's pretty
and
good.
with, yeah, and then without paying a fortune or something like that, something that is going to be attractive hook at the end. Um, that's something that I would add here, which I think would make right away more people be like, oh, interesting. Let's stay and learn more. Um, the way you talk about what you offer, very, very, here's probably the worst part of your website, too much text. It's talking mostly about you and not the pain points and benefits that your clients would get from hiring you. So that's what I would add here first. But overall, you do have a lot of good descriptions and content around what you actually do. This part was my favorite. I would just make it a little bit more step 1, 2, 3. Um, as I went through the entire website, I actually saw no testimonials, nothing here that proves that you're good at what you do, no certifications, no nothing. So number 4 is definitely uh, the least optimized part of your site. That for me is a 1 out of 5, I would say. If you're professional, I don't know what makes you different and unique. This is another thing that you should highlight. And number 6 is there, as I mentioned. So overall, I think your website is probably my score is also always out of like how well is this meant to or how efficiently is this going to convert visitors into uh, potential opportunities. I think you're at a 2.5 out of 5. So you have quite a bit of a walk to walk to get there, I believe. But once you get above 4, you're normally in the top 20%, and that's where you normally tend to want to start doing more aggressive marketing. Because if the website's converting really well, then it's just driving more people, more eyeballs to the site. Um, I want to loop you in here. Any questions, thoughts, Doubts? Anything?
Wow. I really enjoy your perspective on just creating that engagement and kind of anticipating where the mind of the user is as they scroll down the page. I actually had never considered that when someone gets beyond that halfway point, they're probably far more engaged than the person way at the top. And so it makes sense
Yeah.
that your hero would be the most information rich and the most important. And then in the middle, you sort of have really quick snippets, keeping the main things the main things. And if
Mhm.
they make it past that, you can get as descriptive as you like to really flesh out any lingering thoughts that they might have. I think that's my
Mhm.
takeaway from all of this. I guess concerning the worst section that you pointed out, what would be your recommendation as far as taking this wall of text basically and transforming it into something that is a bit more digestible?
This was it. This part here. You mean this here, right?
Correct, correct. I would say that our differentiator is the tutoring that goes beyond knowledge transfer and the disc assessment step that you saw in the circular uh, icon down below.
Yeah.
We would say that those are our two distinguishing factors. Our other co-founder, who's not me, PhD in education. His name's Derek Porter, great guy.
Mhm.
Really has created a education model that's really powerful based upon those two concepts.
Got it. Well, the way that I would do it is what makes you different and unique. I would have it something like this here. You see here, this is a brilliant thing that I saw on an Apple ad a while back ago. It's like, I think they ran this ad a few years ago. It was basically an Apple phone versus other phones. Um, and it was like this. I'm going to see if I can find it right now. Other phones, uh, commercial. I'm going to bring up this. I'm searching YouTube as we speak. Yeah, this here. So the whole point is like how you go from your old, boring, slow phone into the fast Apple phone. And that's what I was thinking with this section here. Like, do it in something like this here, where I just see, like, here's what you get with our tutoring services, and here's what you would get with others. So I just see, oh, I also get a disc assessment, and no, I also get this and
Yeah.
this and that. And then it's just so much more clear without adding a lot of text whatsoever. Um, so this for me is a really good and easy way to do it. Um, there are also other
Mhm.
examples of this section. I'm going to see here if I can find another one that I have. So this is a good thing, Jared. Whenever you tell me like how do I do this, then I normally have a lot of ways that I can show you how to do it. Um, Here is another example of a. I'm going to bring up now another website just to show you. Let's see. A good why us section. Um, the website I'm going into now, I see they've changed the design altogether. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
Well,
it's
I do have a quick follow-up question.
all right. Shoot.
So it might be a silly question, but you would probably be more in tune than I would be. So my question would be: do you think as far as getting better conversions, do you think that it's more essential to showcase what separates you in terms of, just let's say we had just the left side of that page and not the right, when
Mm.
when you're just showcasing what you think or what you know makes you different, is it less impactful than when you are contrasting it, I guess is my question.
I would say so, but there are instances where it doesn't make sense either. Like in some cases, it's like if you have such a unique solution that there's just like there barely is competitors, then it's less important. So the with us and without us can also be seen as with us, with our competitors, or with us, or do it yourself. It could be both of those uh, versions. But in your case, I think it's more likely that people would look for another tutor rather than trying to learn it all themselves. I could be wrong in that, but that's what I would guess with your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
I just think it's so easy to make you stand out. It's just showcasing visually. Here are your alternatives. Um, I There is also obviously cases where you can say with us, with others, or doing it with yourself. So you have three different columns, but that can also be very overwhelming to take in all of that information. Um, because yeah, I'm just always so careful not giving people too much to think about at any part of the site
Mm,
that they're on.
mm,
Um, yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay. My summary of the takeaways that I would give to you is one, the cheapest and most impactful change I think you can do is add an interactive video. That is the number one thing, and that you can have an up and running in an hour. You just need to record the videos. Super easy. The second thing is talk a little bit more about the transformation, the problems you help people solve, and the outcomes they will get. So talk a little bit more about the results. Um, and then the last thing is build more trust and credibility. You need to have some more testimonials. Um, Again, with the guy that I showed you here, so he has the interactive video, but if we scroll a little bit further down here, here you then also have examples of clients who have worked with them. So you can
Hi.
basically like say,
So I just got off the phone with Stanley, and
yeah, we're not going to market Stanley too much here, but that's just example of adding stuff like that would make sure that people see how people love working with you. Um, and I think when someone comes to your website, if you can make sure they really will get benefit from what you do, they can see who they're going to be working with, and they can see that other people have really enjoyed the experience. They've gotten really good results. Then that's like 80% of the lift or the load of the experience, I would say. Um, so if you do those three things,
Very
like I
good.
mentioned, a lot of other stuff too, but those three things, and you're going to be miles ahead of your industry, I believe. Um, do you
Awesome.
have another website in your, like a competitor or someone who's doing something similar, but perhaps in another state, or like any other website that we can look at just for comparison, for the sake of comparison?
Perhaps let me brainstorm. I think that I think that one place that might be good to take a look at could be varsitytutors.com.
Varsity
And they're a
Tutors.
bit more widespread, maybe not Virginia only, but I think that
Yeah.
they have a really well known name.
Okay. Great. Let's dig into these ones as well. And now we don't just trust your website. You get a competitor analysis here at the same time too. But the first thing that we see here when we land on this one is design is very good. It looks very modern. It looks like very professionally built straight away. Supportive learning that gets results. Good message right away. And now tell us more about yourself. I'm a student, I'm a parent, guardian, or I'm a school administrator. So do you see how they instantly get you to interact? This is actually very, very smart. Because
Yeah.
now, based on
Yeah.
what I click on, I'm going to get a new experience. Okay, what grade level are you in? Oh, look at this. Like, to be honest, they're doing that quiz, as I mentioned. So these suckers are
Yes.
way ahead of the curve. Yeah. And you see here, they have a quote saying how someone was really happy with what they do. You also see down here, our customers, 4.4 out of 5 based on 5,000 reviews. Yeah. So they build a lot of trust and credibility in a really nice way. They have an interaction right instantly when you learn when you land on here. They have stats. 16 years helping learners, 10 million hours on one-on-one. So they build a lot of trust and credibility. What's included? This is also good. Here in bullet points, they showcase what they're doing. I mean, I can tell right away, this company have most likely spent 15, 20K on their website, if not more. Um, it's a very professional built site.
Wow.
And not too much text. But yeah, they do have things that they still can work on when it comes to the storytelling. So you see in the bottom here, not sure where to begin. Start by answering a couple of questions. Very good. But yeah, they don't really say what makes them different and unique. They don't really talk about the process very clearly. That's another like thing. But I see they have that up here in the menu, how it works. We start at 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So here they have the 1, 2, 3 thing that I mentioned. Our difference.
Yep.
Here we have this. Yeah. Oh, look how we compare. Religiously vetted tutors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm glad you showed me this website because this is a website that I'm going to save as an example. They do a lot of things really, really well here. But again, this is absolutely not hard to outperform. Especially a smart guy like you who actually can do some web development yourself. This is going to be normally it's just like, what do I do? But if you know what you want to do, then it's probably easier for you to just go and build it, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Well, the very last thing that I also looked into with your site was the site performance. I got some bad news for you, my friend. Here you're going to see this. This is PageSpeed Insights. I think your audience, I don't know, but I think you're going to have a very, very high level of mobile visitors to your website. And as we can see here, your website performance is critically bad for mobile. Your speed index says that it loads in 7 seconds, which is more than double of what it should. You're probably losing a lot of traffic there in this day and age when people are impatient. Here we can go in and see why this is. Here we're going to get super techie, and I don't want to get into that conversation for now, but you can go in here and see that breakdown. Desktop is better. Then it loads in 2.2 seconds, which is a lot faster. And then you have the score of 72. But yeah, mobile is super important, especially with your audience, I believe. So that's another thing there. But okay, I hope this was useful and that you get something that you can actually go home and work on from this. Again, you're going to be able to get this recording once again and go back and have a look and like take it piece by piece. But yeah, for sure, you clearly have potential opportunity with the web. and very, very quickly you're going to be comparative to varsity, who has so much more resources and power than you do. But you can absolutely compete with them if we get the website right. That's at least what I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right.
Hey, thanks, man. This was great. Really got a
Yeah.
lot out of it. Definitely.
My absolute
Definitely.
pleasure.
Yeah.
My absolute pleasure. If you, for anyone here who's watching, every single Friday we're going to do this webinar. I know that we already like this is what I love. We dug in really deep with Jar today, so we don't really have time to go through more sites. However, here you can clearly in detail see good examples of how you can break down your website and make it better for yourself. And Gerard, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the courage to be roasted this way. Um, and yeah, anything you or anyone who's watching this recording as well, if you reach out to me, if you post, give me your website, I can do a free assessment like this, send you a video of it so that you have something you can take away and improve for your website as well. So just connect with me on LinkedIn, my email, whatever that might be, leave a comment, and we can connect that way. But go to the next webinar. If you go to LinkedIn, Facebook, you're going to see it on our YouTube channel. We go live every single Friday afternoon, and we're going to roast new websites every single time so you can learn how you improve your website without wasting months of time. So thanks to everyone for watching. Thank you, Gerard, and I'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again for having me, Edward.
My pleasure.